Have you ever asked yourself, why am I like this? Why do I overthink? Why do I overwork? Or sometimes, why do I just shut down, especially when I need to be at my best? Today, we're talking about how your brain and your nervous system are doing their job, but not in the way that you really want to. The good news is you can teach them a better way. So listen up. Welcome to Burnout Solutions, a podcast designed to help high achievers and healthcare professionals understand stress and how it can lead to burnout. Together, we'll explore how your brain and nervous system naturally work and why they sometimes hold you back, and how to overcome those challenges to fully enjoy the success you've worked so hard to create. I am your host, Mona Tippett, registered nurse, burnout coach, and resiliency educator. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am thrilled that you're here. And today we are going to talk about how our brain and our nervous system sometimes think that they are helping us when in reality, they are working against us based on our past experiences. And this can be preventing you from accomplishing what you really want to, or not creating the life that you desire. And I was thinking about this concept when we were playing a game, and we just got the game Saboteur for Christmas. It's a card game. If you haven't played it, it's pretty fun. It's these miners that are trying to get to the gold, and the gold is on a card and it's turned upside down. And before the game starts, you divvy up the assignments of who is going to be a miner and who is going to be a saboteur. And throughout the game, you place down cards that create a path to go to the gold or a rock. You don't know which is the rock and which is the gold unless you turn over a card that shows you a map, and then you can cheat and see which one is gold and which is a rock, and you can even lie about the answer. And during the game, you place down cards to create this line. And if you're the saboteur, you want to lead the trail to not the gold, to something else. And so at the end of the game, whoever gets to either the gold or the rock first wins. And if the saboteur wins, they get points. And if the miners win, then they get points. And throughout the game, you kind of guess and decide who is the saboteur. So as we were playing this game, I was thinking, this is kind of like your brain. It often thinks that it's creating a path and going to the gold. But however, sometimes your brain just acts in default patterns, acts in ways that you were taught growing up, acts in habitual things that, this is how we always do it. And you sabotage your life, or you sabotage your goals, or you are not creating the life that you want. Maybe you have a goal of being kind to your family or your coworkers, or not stressing out during the day. And then in reality, you do things that are against what you want, against your intentions. So today we're going to talk about how your brain can feel like a saboteur sometimes. And I'm going to give you some examples that you might relate to and kind of tell you why your brain does that. Okay, so let's start with something you've probably felt before. Say that you're lying in bed and you've done everything right that day, but your brain is spinning like a hamster wheel. Or I used to experience this quite often. I didn't have a hard time falling asleep, but my spinning hamster wheel in my brain would wake me up routinely between 2 and 4 a.m. Luckily, it does not happen hardly ever anymore. And that's the beautiful thing, because I've been able to retrain my brain and nervous system. But anyway, maybe you are laying in your bed and it's at the end of the day and you feel totally exhausted, but you cannot shut your brain down. Or maybe you've prepped like crazy for a meeting or a presentation, and then when somebody asks you a question, you freeze in that moment and your mind goes blank. Or my personal favorite is it's late at night and you want to sit down and just take a rest, but suddenly you feel guilty that your to-do list was not done. You feel guilty that you didn't spend time with your family, that you had a freak out at work, that you didn't take care of a patient well, that you lost your cool with the neighbor, or, there's a million different things. And your brain is spinning and you're feeling guilty. So if that's ever happened to you, just know that your brain isn't broken. It's not really sabotaging you, but what it's trying to do is help you survive. However, this brain was written when threats looked like lions and tigers and bears, not unread emails, toddler or teenage tantrums, or bosses with a weird tone of voice, right? Stephen Porges, who I've talked about before, who developed the polyvagal theory, says that our nervous system is always asking us one question: am I safe? And it's asking that question before your logical brain even has a chance to weigh in. I am going to do a podcast on how your brain develops and how it helps or doesn't help with your stress response because of how it's developed. But anyway, your subconscious scanner with your nervous system is called neuroception. And Deb Dana, who is an expert on the polyvagal theory, uses to describe the way our bodies pick up on cues of safety or danger without us even realizing it is neuroception. And this is where we are constantly looking outside ourselves using our five senses. So what are we seeing? What are we tasting, smelling, feeling, or seeing, or experiencing that tell us if we are safe or not safe? And it's important to remember that this is automatic and it's fast, and often your brain and nervous system actually get it wrong. So here is where I want to make it relatable to you. Let's talk about the patterns your nervous system has learned to, in air quotes, help you, but they're no longer helpful. So these can be some of your go-to reactions when your nervous system senses danger. And let's remember that when I talk about danger, this is not literal danger. It can be mental and emotional danger, such as you want to avoid emotional discomfort. You want to avoid the fear of failure. You want to avoid feeling misunderstood, or you want to avoid not feeling in control of yourself or your environment. So I wanted to just give a few real life patterns that come up for myself and the clients that I work with. And I want to see if you can relate to any of these. The first one I thought about was overworking. And this is a huge one. This is something that I see all the time. I work with high achievers. I work with doctors and nurses and women in business, and overworking is huge. And a lot of times it is something that we do because our brain and our nervous system has learned that productivity equals safety. And so we often stay late. We say yes to too many things. We never quite feel done. And the underlying message that your nervous system is relating to your brain is, if I do enough, then I will be enough. Interesting, right? Can you relate to that? This is a flight response in disguise because you are running away from feelings of inadequacy or not being in control. I have thought a lot about this, about how productivity can be related in our brain with our worth, with feeling accomplished and feeling like we've done something. And there's so much pressure in our society to become and do and be worthy of certain goals and promotions and gaining validation from other people. And what I have practiced over and over again, especially in the last few years, is that my worth is not based on what I do. And my worth was set when I was born, and it's something that I can't change regardless of what I do or what I don't do. And a lot of clients that I talk to about this have a hard time digesting this, and they say, well, then why would I do something? I say, because it's fun. It's fun to see what we can do. It's fun to see who we can become. It's fun to see how much we can make the world a better place. And that all comes from being loving and compassionate with ourselves and not comparing ourselves to others and what they accomplish, and not having our value or our worth based on our to-do list and what we can get done. So think about that overworking, and how is overworking really a nervous system response of fight or flight? Okay, the next one is people pleasing. This is when you, of course, are avoiding conflict. You are going along with what other people say, what they want. You're keeping your opinions to yourself. And really, you want to keep the peace no matter what is said. Sound familiar to anybody? This is a classic Fawn response of your nervous system. And this is your nervous system's way of avoiding a perceived relational danger by making yourself safe to others. Over time, you do lose touch with your own needs, and people pleasing is really not respecting yourself. This is your nervous system just trying to hide from the danger and to appear invisible by just agreeing with other people and avoiding the danger in other people not agreeing with you, and avoiding the danger of their judgment or their opinions of you. And so when you stay quiet and just go with the flow and appear invisible, it's easier on your nervous system. Okay, the next one that I am getting so much better at, but a lot of my clients relate very well with perfectionism. I often say I am a recovering perfectionist, and everything has to be just right. I'm letting a lot of that go now. I've been in charge of school carnivals and events and family vacations and lots of things. I'm trying to let go of my perfectionism in this podcast and just shoot for done is better than perfect. But people like me just have a way. We want things to be just right. And if it's not just right, then we don't even want to do it at all. This can prevent us from even trying. It can prevent us from letting things go and delegating things to other people. It's also interesting to know that sometimes, and I've noticed this myself with my perfectionism, it's hard to co-regulate with other people, and it's hard to understand other people. For example, a lot of times I think, how do you not care about this? Why are you not giving it your all? Why are you not trying? And it looks like other people aren't trying, but they are. They're just not being a perfectionist like you are. And your nervous system sees their lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm, lack of trying in air quotes, as a threat to you and yourself. So that's something that I've noticed. Procrastination is also a part of perfectionism, and people who procrastinate want to tweak endlessly or make sure that they are ready and prepared before they start, or they just keep putting things off. And perfectionism is a blend of freeze or paralysis, and flight is you're trying to outrun criticism. You're trying to outrun what other people think of you. You're trying to outrun your own judgment and the judgment of the people around you. Or you're trying to make sure that you appear to be on top of things and perfect, and you're looking for external validation, when in reality, the validation that you need is giving it from yourself. And often perfectionists withhold that validation from themselves, and it's easy to give to other people, but not for ourselves. So that is, again, a nervous system pattern with the brain of freezing and trying to outrun negative emotion. So the next one I want to talk about is numbing and avoiding. How many of us do this? There is a difference between giving ourselves a break and just shutting down and our nervous system going into a freeze mode. And numbing and avoiding look like scrolling on social media for hours, snacking, emotional eating, Netflix, shopping, pornography, whatever your drug of choice is. And what we're trying to do is numb feelings of fear, inadequacy, scarcity, or avoid things that we want to be responsible for. Some things I was thinking about was video games and even scrolling. What this does is it creates an internal world that our nervous system feels safe when our outside world and our reality feels really unsafe or really scary. Some other things I thought about was ghosting. This is something that, a new term. He totally ghosted me. Well, why do people ghost? Well, that's because connection seems too risky, too scary, too vulnerable for the nervous system. So what it chooses to do is just avoid. This is a freeze response. And you can find yourself saying, I'm too tired to care. And if you say to yourself, I don't care, and I don't care that I don't care, that is a red flag where it can be really dorsal vagal shutdown. And that can be a hard place to come back from. But that is just your nervous system trying to keep you safe and shut down things to keep you safe from overworking or burning out. Now, all of these patterns of overworking, people pleasing, perfectionism, hyperindependence, and numbing are all ways that may have helped you survive in the past, but might now be keeping you stuck. These patterns aren't failures, and I want you to remember that. This doesn't say that there's something wrong with you. This isn't a lack of willpower. These aren't moral failings. These are just survival strategies. And the key is recognizing when they're active. And if you want to choose something new, just know that you are empowered to do so. Okay, so next we're going to talk a little bit about how to rewrite the survival manual that your brain and your nervous system have created for you. And it's interesting that every single person's is different. Of course, we all have different characteristics and personality traits or habitual patterns, whatever you want to call it. But I want you to know and hear this loud and clear that you can teach your brain and body a new way. This is through neuroplasticity. This is through retraining your nervous system. You are never too old. You can always update your manual. And when it comes to humans, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Does it take work? Absolutely. Is it impossible? No. And this is actually a program that I offer. It's called the Mind Firm Method with Nervous System Resilience. And this is concepts that I've taken from my life coaching school and my work with Dr. Gentry in learning about the nervous system. And you can check out my website for information on that. So the first thing I want you to know about rewiring your survival manual is how the brain and the nervous system work together. Your brain and nervous system are constantly communicating with each other. 20% of that communication comes from your brain and communicates to your body, but 80% of your body, specifically your vagus nerve, communicates to your brain. So you can use two approaches to regulate your brain and nervous system. And the first approach is the top-down approach, and the second one is bottom-up approach. The top-down approach means that you are using your brain or your thoughts to calm your body down. This is reframing, this is affirmations, this is coaching tools, this is using a paradigm shift, this is perceptual maturation, and really using your prefrontal cortex to create and plan how you want to live your life intentionally. The bottom-up approach is when we use our body to calm our brain down and tell our brain there's no need for danger here. These are things like diaphragmatic breathing and other breath work. This is touch, this is sound, this is movement. These are things that we're using somatic practices and physical things for our nervous system to communicate back to our brain. And I'm just going to give you 3 simple bottom-up practices that you can try today, because it has been proven that when we can relax our nervous system and relax our body, it communicates to our brain that there's no danger. So one easy way is just giving yourself a butterfly hug, or even putting your hand on your heart. So a butterfly hug is putting your right arm into your left armpit and then bringing your left arm up to your shoulder and giving yourself a hug. This is reassuring to your body. This is reassuring to your nervous system. And lots of people even say, hey, you're safe. I've got you. It's giving yourself a hug and using your touch receptors of reminding your nervous system that you're safe. Another thing is just orienting yourself to the present. A lot of times our brain gets really anxious about things that are happening in the future, or our brain gets stuck in a pattern of rumination from things that we did or didn't do in the past. So one way we can interrupt that is we can orient ourselves to the present. So we can look around the room and we can find 3 things that feel safe or beautiful. Deb Dana also calls this gathering glimmers. And you can let your eyes rest on them. You can say them out loud. Oh, I'm so grateful that there's beautiful sun on my skin right now. I can smell the aroma of fresh air. I know that things are going my way because I saw a butterfly, or, whatever that you have that is personal to you, to remind your nervous system that you are safe. The other way is to sigh it out. This is just taking a big deep breath in and sigh audibly on the exhale. This is one of the fastest ways that you can stimulate your vagus nerve and calm down your system. When our nervous system is communicating to our brain that there's danger, there's a lot of oxygenation that's happening in our hindbrain and in our brain stem. And when we can slow our breathing down, but especially exhale all of that oxygen, it is a good reminder to our nervous system that we are safe and it's time to calm down. So I hope that you realize that in wrapping up, that you are not broken, you're adaptive. Your brain and body are working perfectly. They're brilliant. They can change. And all of the habits that you have been utilizing in your life are based on your brain and nervous system trying to keep you safe all along. However, I encourage you to take the time now to teach them that the threat has passed and that working harder, being perfect, staying quiet, doing things alone, etc., isn't the only way to get through life, and that there are better options. You get to rewire your system. You get to create a new default method, and one that's based on safety, calm, and connection. I encourage you to go to my website, and there you can find details on the programs that I offer. But I just want to say that if this episode hit home, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear any experiences that you've had in any of these situations where your brain or nervous system thought they were keeping you safe, but they weren't. I'd love for you to send me a message and share your best unhelpful pattern, or to just say hi. I appreciate you listening. And just remember, when working harder isn't working, it's time to work differently. And that's something that we can do through retraining our brain and nervous system. So take care, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for tuning in to Burnout Solutions. If you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And when you're ready to stop working harder and start working differently, head on over to my website at www.monatippets.com. That's TIPPETS. And grab my free resources on rewiring your brain and nervous system for less stress and more ease. Hope to connect with you soon. Take care.